Good morning. It is Tuesday, July 19th. Skipped yesterday. Gamed with my buddies after work. It was fun. Today, I worked for a couple hours and my work was like, hey, you want off early? I'm like, yeah. So, I got off at like 9:30. Worked about 2 hours. So I'll get to a movie later. But now I got time and I'm thinking, what do I want to do? Yes, I could certainly do some editing. I also kind of, after this weekend, after putting just a little bit of time onto that map, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm in the mood to put some more effort into that and actually work on the map. So that'd be cool. And my day has been progressing rather productively. Now, one of the things today was there was a game that was coming out today. Now, I learned technically it's not coming out today. Or rather, the PDF version comes out today. It's about a year from the physical version. But if you pre-order the physical version through the company making it, Cubicle 7, you get the PDFs for free, including one of them, the main book that is available today. Now, in order to responsibly do this, I actually had to back out of a Kickstarter that I was backing, and I wasn't sure. I was like, And that was the third Kickstarter for Iron Kingdom's Requiem. I backed the main one, I backed one for Borderlands and Beyond. Now they have one that's going on, and it's got a couple days left, and I had it on my calendar to think, like, do I want to go with this or back out? And it's for like seafaring and some islands and stuff. And I may still get at least like the main book from it later on, just through the, once it's like in retail. But if I'm only getting that one main book, it's more affordable not to, to get it afterwards based on the other ones. If I get the whole bundle that includes some special things that are only available through the Kickstarter and some free minis and stuff like that, it's great. But if I'm gonna miss out on those, then I might as well just get it in the aftermarket, save the money for now. And instead, I was able to pre-order Doctors and Daleks. This is a product that I have been looking forward to since the beginning of the year, and that I have been hoping will eventually exist for about maybe several years. Since the first announcement of the what is that game? Adventures in Middle-earth. Cubicle 7 had the One Ring, and they did Adventures in Middle-earth, a 5e version of in the Lord of the Rings setting. Well, they also have had the Doctor Who role-playing game, which I also went ahead and ordered the last book for this art, so I'll get the rest of the words there for the So they've had that, and I'm like, well, and I mean, it's interesting game, but I'm like, I don't want to. It's not like the kind of thing I look at and I'm like, I want to learn these rules. I don't. So I was hoping they would eventually do it with the 5e D&D rules, because I know those rules. They finally did. So I've gotten to look through the player's guide there, and I am rather impressed. They still have some of the balance issues like they did with Adventures in Middle-earth. They're not the best at that. But the things that they have done to take things that are in the game and make them work for the kind of story of Doctor Who is great. Hit points become plot points. So, yeah, if you run out of hit points, it's not that you die. It may be you're captured. It may be whatever. But those, changing that. Because also, there are damage types, like emotional damage and things like that, because you can do it by speaking. Because just the things you say, the words you use, can be affecting like that. Spells have been reskinned or use the same format to make new of abilities that are you using mostly your words or sometimes, your resources to cause effects. It's just really interesting how they've managed to make it where you can tell Doctor Who-like stories, but use the so combat-heavy rules for D&D. And so that's only a little bit of what I did today. A lot of what I've done so far today has actually been this. It'll focus. There we go. So this, I took the image that I had on Sunday and I put it in G-plates. And I traced everything. So now I can turn off that image and I have all the information that I need made look nice here. And for example, I've exported it to a flattened out map here. So here are the continents for the map that I will be now redoing with the fixes that I needed to implement. Basically, I changed out continents, moved some continents around, that kind of thing. Added a whole new one. Yeah. Now, the next stage is all the little islands, all the plate borders as they meet, end up with island chains and all that, and that's a big part of, a lot of the things that I did when designing the first world that I liked involved making lots of island chains. Because I like that for a world. I want that. So, that's the next step. Probably tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. If I take off, I'm still thinking about taking off work. If I take off work tomorrow, probably the next time I work on it. I haven't made a decision yet. Because now is around the time that I'd be getting off work. So I better start focusing on movie. It is movie day. So I've gotten some stuff accomplished. I've had a good day. Now to settle in for a movie, and I'm gonna settle in for a good movie. I'm gonna watch The Goonies. Classic. Awesome. So yeah. Presumably everyone's seen The Goonies. But it's always fun one to revisit. If you haven't seen it, you should. I can say that before I've rewatched it. But yeah, I'm gonna watch this. And as usual, I'll be discussing it here in a moment. And I would give The Goonies an 8.5 out of 10. That is such a fun movie. Very 80s. Very full of adventure. From the back of the box. From the imagination of Steven Spielberg, The Goonies plunges a band of small heroes into swashbuckling, surprise around every corner quest beyond their wildest dreams. Following a mysterious treasure map into a spectacular underground realm of twisting passages, outrageous booby traps, and a long-lost pirate ship full of golden doubloons, the kids race to stay one step ahead of a family of bumbling bad guys and a mild-mannered monster with a face only a mother could love. A family adventure classic from start to buccaneering finish, The Goonies is a cinematic treasure trove of breathtaking action, dazzling effects, and shiver-your-timbers thrills. I'd add, in the town of Astoria, Oregon, there's a group of kids that grew up on the Goon Docks. They call themselves the Goonies. And the local country club is foreclosing on houses of an entire region to tear it down and expand their country club. Because they have money, and that's what people with money do. Apparently. And so these kids finding a treasure map behind some other piece of art in one of their father's attics. Their father being the curator of the local history museum about the town kind of thing. Decide to follow the map and try and find the treasure for themselves, since no one else has managed to do so. Leading them to the start of this cavernous adventure that leads to this treasure goes right through an old building where a group of murderous criminals are hiding out. The movie does great, setting up booby traps and cool gadgets before you even get into the caverns, you know, with even getting in the front gate of Mikey and Brad's home. There's lots of, yeah, this is exciting, let's go, but no, this is too big for us, let's go back. The story does a great job to push these children forward, where adventure leads them so far, and then fear from these murderers that are on their tail makes them keep going. It has all the awesome things I loved as a kid, and they're done so beautifully, and the story is really well assembled. That as an adult, I still love it. It is fantastic. But Data, with his gadgets, I want to share this by, I was saying, you know, belt full of gadgets. Same thing. I love Data for that. I was like, yes, belt full of gadgets. That's awesome. And the booby traps and so many sets that involve water. I love environments that involve water. You know, I love going to like the zoo and seeing the enclosures that have like water elements, like waterfalls that are built as part of them and things like that, like just what they can do with it. And you know, I did, you know, I went to school for filmmaking. I looked into, like, it's not an easy thing to do, but definitely something I've looked at. And just seeing all these sets with all these water elements, I'm like, man, it's beautiful. And like even to the effect at one point of like a water slide is part of it. Of course, as a kid, I loved water parks and all that. Being self-conscious about my weight has kept me from knowing if I still would like them or not, because I don't experience them anyways. As an adult, but when I was a kid, I loved them, and it was fun, and particularly ones that were all themed. Like, I mean, I used to love, what was it? I don't remember the name, but there's two of them at Disney, and they were both well themed. One was a melting ice, and the other's tropical. They were great. And this is these, you know, dark caverns with a water slide going through. I'm like, that's just a cool themed water park. And it breaks my heart that they find all that treasure and they get so little. They get enough to save the town. They save the day. Brad gets the girl. Mouth maybe does get the other girl. Chunk maybe gets a brother, although, you know, he promises him, well, you know, Sloth that Sloth is going to go live with him. I'm not sure how his parents react to that. They save the town. They survive. They get back to their families. But could have been rich. But they just got just enough. There's been talk over the last, I don't know, 10 years, whatever. You know, oh, are they going to do a sequel to the Goonies? If they do, I really hope it's somehow getting the rest of that treasure. That which they saw. They all saw, and that ship kind of floated off. Where did it go? What happens from there? I would, if there was to be a satisfying sequel to a movie that doesn't have to have one. This doesn't need a sequel. But the story to follow it up is after so long, if they manage to get the rest of that treasure. That treasure that as kids they all saw drift away from them. Yeah. But, we got whatever little scene index in here, which I love movies that bother to print it for me. It really helps me, like, while I'm watching a movie, keep track of, you know, how far through it I am, kind of thing. But just, they're almost halfway through when they really get into, you know, they're like a third of the way through the movie when they really get into the tunnels, which is where my brain thinks, oh, that's where the movie gets fun. Because as a kid, that's where I liked it. But all this stuff beforehand, there's so much for setting up the characters and situations that just lead to the story progressing and just things that get paid off. It's really well written. There was the point where the bats flew out at them, and they're all like reacting to these bats flying all around them, but they're not. They're little puppets that just kind of jiggle on the screen in front of them as they freak out. But I mean, what was this? This was 1985. So as far as the special effects, you know, they didn't do too bad. There were practical effects, and a lot of them. It's a fun movie. It's a fun adventure. Would recommend. But, I'll call it here. I'll probably lay around and watch, I'm still behind on Critical Role. And who knows? Maybe I'll take off tomorrow. It's nice to relax today and nice to get a few things done, but yeah, we'll see. Thank you for joining me as my journey continues.